First, I've got a special guest here with me tonight. I've got Chris Phillips over with SEC Unfiltered. Chris, what's going on, man?
Josh, what's going on, man? It's great to see you. Obviously, we linked up in Omaha and really appreciate you coming out and getting to meet you in person, man. But, yeah, it's football time. Excited. Week 0 is upon us. We're going to be throwing around some bets this weekend. So we're officially back, man. And obviously week 1 just around the corner. So we're talking game previews and locking in predictions over at SEC Unfiltered. And that's when you really know we made it, right? Like we're breaking down and previewing the week 1 matchups. It's like, man, it's really, really here. So exciting stuff and excited to talk about it with you.
Yeah, man, it's going to be an action-packed season, really. You look around the league and it feels deeper than it has been. And I think a big reason for that being is that Oklahoma feels like they've kind of gotten themselves back to where they should have been. And of course, I was listening to Josh Pate kind of explain why talking heads are a little bit higher on Oklahoma this year. And it's just because last season didn't really feel like they were a bad team. It's just that they were given terrible circumstances. And then, of course, terrible offensive coordinator hire, all of that. But of course, I know whenever I first talked to you back in Omaha, we were talking, you were kind of unsure. You weren't really sure where you wanted to land with the Sooners yet. And then I think I heard you somewhere whenever you were down at the SEC Media Days as well, kind of talking there about still unsure and feeling out the Oklahoma Sooners. But now it feels like you're finally ready, and you put your prediction out today. And I'll pull this up real quick just so everybody can see it as well. We've got your predictions here. So you said, call me crazy, but I'm buying the Sooners hype. And of course, talking about John Mateer being one of the most electric guys in the SEC. You gave your prediction at 9-3 for the Sooners with losses to Texas, Tennessee, and Alabama. Personally, I don't take too much into which teams. It's really just their overall record, because I think you could probably swap any one of those teams out for the other. And it's the SEC, it's deep. But what's got you feeling so much to keep on feeling a little higher and higher on the Oklahoma Sooners getting closer to the season?
Yeah, Josh, and I appreciate you not the overall record is what's most important. You're going to notice with a lot of my predictions, admittedly, I tried to think outside of the box a little bit, because I think it is just going to be a wacky year. I think there's some games where you're like, well, why this team instead of that team? It's like, it's not a A plus B equals C type of thing. You know what I mean? Like, this is, if you didn't watch college football last season, it's completely random. Alabama beat Georgia and lost to Vanderbilt the following week. I mean, so like, riddle me that, right? But yeah, I mean, listen, I've started drinking the Kool-Aid, man. You are right. I was very unsure in Omaha because we were so engulfed with the baseball stuff, and still at SEC Media Days, I was kind of just feeling it out a little bit. But man, I just think the more you watch at John Mateer and the more you talk to people around that program, obviously that are close to the Sooners, some of the reports you're getting back from him, I think he's going to be the real deal, right? I think Jaden Ott was a very underrated pickup, the running back from Cal. I think Deion Burks is going to be – I think he's going to have the season I probably expected him to have a season ago, because none of us could have saw coming what happened last year. And there's no way, knock on wood, but there's just no way they could be as injured as they were a season ago. I like my guy Jake Crane says, the odds of that happening again are the same odds of them being 100% healthy through the season. It's a 0% chance. It ain't going to happen. But so I think offensively they're going to be worlds better. And then defensively, I think – you bring in the new OC, Brent Venables, I think being able to just lock in on the defense, which I think it's going to be a really good defense. I think it's a very underrated front seven. I mean, we just don't talk about R. Mason Thomas and Kip Lewis enough in the front seven, what those guys mean for that defense. I think they'll be solid in the secondary. Josh, I don't know if anyone else has said this to you as maybe their reasoning of why they're feeling good about Oklahoma or high on OU. But for me, something that matters, because I know you could say what happened last year, or 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, that it just totally doesn't matter. And I get that, right? But I trust the DNA traits of programs. Like, the Oklahoma DNA is winning. It is winning, right? Like, Oklahoma's a program. I think you and I talked about this when we were in Omaha. LSU baseball. They got to that stage. They expected good things to happen because they believe we are supposed to win. Not we want to win, we're supposed to. I kind of think of Oklahoma football the same way. Like, I trust the DNA traits and the DNA characteristics of, yeah, man, it's Oklahoma. You're supposed to win. So what happened last year was such a disaster because it was so far out of the norm. Again, I'm not saying that Oklahoma gets back and wins a national title this year, but I do think they're going to bounce back in a big way. They'll be healthier. You got a dynamic player at quarterback who I think could end up being the player of the year in the SEC. And I think the defense, especially front seven, which is where you win in this conference, is a lot more salty than people realize. So, like I said, man, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. It's funny at this point, Josh, over the last few weeks, we all have the conversations, is this team underrated, that team underrated? I had somebody ask me last week, is Oklahoma underrated? I said, they're not underrated anymore. They might have been underrated a month ago, but the amount of people that I've seen, I saw somebody from SEC Network, I believe, pick John Mateer to win the Heisman. So, they're not underrated anymore. And the expectations are for real. The expectations are serious. I know we'll probably talk about Brent Venables and his job security, but the expectations are high. Really, really high. And, I think it's fair with the roster you have and the talent you have. And I know the schedule's daunting, obviously, but I do think there's a lot of opportunity the way it sets up. You could be 5-0, and I've got Oklahoma 5-0 going into Red River. At that point, who knows? I even mentioned we're going to have the full breakdown dropping on YouTube here within the next 30 minutes or so. And that's one that, I think if Oklahoma goes in that undefeated, all bets are off. They just are. Because, let us not forget who has run that rivalry since 2000, essentially. It has been domination by the Sooners. And, again, I think that mental edge in that game does play a factor. But, yeah, I got them at 9-3. Slice it up however you want with what the wins and losses are. But I think they get to 9 wins. And I think 9-3, Josh, I think you'd have a real argument Oklahoma should be in the college football playoff with that resume they put together.